Hey guys, welcome back to the New England Scrapper. Now, today, I'm going to try to finish up some more of those laptops, and hopefully it's not going to be the train wreck that we had last time. That was hilariously awful. Anyways, let's get started here with this Dell. This really big, chunky Dell. And this is chunkier than any laptop I ever knew. Oh, it's an Inspiron 9100. When I was a kid, my family had an old gray Dell laptop. It kind of looked like this, but not quite. So, yeah, I figured this would be a interesting start to the scrap. Hopefully this one will be less of a pain to do than the last one there. So, let me see here. So this is the battery, but it looks like it's got a speaker in there. I don't know if that's a speaker, a phone, or what that is. That's really strange. I've never seen that before. Ow. But there is a, I don't want to drill into anything I shouldn't, so I probably should be careful. I don't know what's under the, it looks like there's a speaker under there. It's really weird. Again, I don't want to, like, accidentally bust into a battery cell. Because that would be a big no-no. If you guys ever want to see why lithium-ion batteries are such a problem, just look up a video of someone hitting one, like hitting a smartphone with a hammer and watching it, like, pretty much spontaneously combust and blow up. Yeah, there was a speaker in there. That's really odd. I've never seen that before. Interesting, but odd. It's a very strange setup, so I'm just going to stick that back in there and get battery price for it, I guess. That's really, really odd. Well, now that we've seen that atrocity, let's see what we got here. So we've got the, I believe this is a cooling fan. Well, I mean, if it's a fan, it's obviously for cooling something. I don't know what it's cooling. No. What it's cooling, though. Alright, now, I know this is really encased in plastic, but I'm going to mix this in with motors. Really, you should take off all this plastic. But my scrapyard is very generous at times with what I can throw into what category. So I'll just mix that in with a huge load of motors. And I don't think it's going to matter. Not with my yard, but I would not recommend that you do that with your yard. Unless, you know, same deal. Alrighty, let's see here. Now, under one of these should be the RAM. I believe under the other will be like a networking card kind of thing. Yep. So we've got like I believe this is a Wi-Fi network card. If I was informed correctly. So a little bit of wire there. And this thing should just pop out like kind of like a RAM stick. And these generally have their own grade because they have the, you know, the gold fingers here, but they've also got some chips, and I believe under there might be a couple more chips. You got a flat pack BGA right there. So this is a very, very large one. Generally, they're only about that big, but I've also seen them that big, and I've seen them this big. So those just go in their own separate bucket. At some point, I'll sell those to my board buyer. I believe, oh man, I don't remember what they quoted me on price. All I know is I do need to have a decent amount for them to buy them. But I mean, that's kind of how it works. any board buyer for any category. Once you have a decent amount of stuff. Alright, so that one there was the RAM. Then you have a decent amount of scrap, you know, scrap boards, scrap chips, whatever. So, just got regular laptop, gold-fingered RAM. This stuff is awesome. If you are able to like stockpile it somewhere and save it, I would. Because, like, out of every e-waste commodity, this is probably some of the best you're going to get. I mean, obviously, like a ceramic CPU like this. Whoops. Man, I'm dropping everything today. A ceramic CPU like that is generally, you know, going to be your highest quality e-waste. But those aren't made anymore. And going into the future, RAM sticks are going to be awesome. So if you can somehow, you know, if you can afford to not sell it and stockpile it, I would. No, I mean, I need it. I need to sell at least some of it for you know, income, because RAM, it goes for about 22 bucks a pound. But if you list it on eBay, you generally get a lot more. I did try a little thing once where I'd try to buy some RAM on eBay and then resell it, but they always want to, oh, okay, well the hard drive caddy's empty. So, boo. But they always wanted way too much for the, yeah, I'm not going to get those screws out. They always wanted way too much for the RAM. And I either lost the auction or just wasn't really worth my time at the price I would have been paying for it. Now, I'm not sure what this is. I think this is a blanking plate for some other type of card that should have been in there. Alright, so I've removed most of the screws. So now I have to try to figure out how the hell I'm going to pry this thing open. These are generally a real pain in the butt. So, again, I mean, I can't even do like an instructional how to scrap out a laptop kind of video, because literally every laptop is so different. I've had laptops that were so easy to scrap out, it took me like, I don't know, 5 minutes. But I've also had ones that, like I, you know, said in the previous part to this video, I think it took me, oh geez, what did I say? I think I said like 20 minutes. It was a real painful 20 minutes too. It wasn't like a quick, easy 20 minutes. This was a very destructive 20 minutes. Okay, let's see. That's a very strange trackpad. Anyways, this thing's going to be a real pain to get into, this one. Yeah, that's the problem with some of these older ones. They can be really, really tough to open up. Any sort of decent, you know. Oh, there we go. There we go. There's something. There's something. Now, it looks like there's a cast aluminum inside to this, so if we don't get clean cast, we'll at least get dirty aluminum. Or irony aluminum, as a lot of scrapyards here in the States call it. You know, that's one of the things with scrap grading that can be hard when making videos, is different scrapyards in different countries, and even in the same country, will use different names to grade things. It can be super confusing for, you know, beginners. I mean, just look at steel. Here we call it light iron for, you know, like the thin sheet kind of steel. Here we call it light iron, or dirty steel, you know, something like that. In Australia, I've heard it, you know, E-Waste Ben, he calls it, you know, dirty pressing steel. You know, I've also heard, you know, like tin, light tin. There we go. There's a little bit of progress. So yeah, tin, light tin. Just scrap steel. Man, I'm trying to think what else. There's probably some other names for it. So we got a bit of cast there. Now, cast right now, I'm currently just throwing into my regular clean aluminum. Or, actually, there's another one. Clean aluminum here is called generally old aluminum. Then you've got your irony aluminum, which could also be dirty aluminum. And it's really, really confusing for any, you know, any beginner or new scrap or anything like that. You know, I feel your pain if you're trying to understand, you know, all the different grades of scrap. You learn one thing going to the scrapyard, and they, you know, they have completely different names for all the grades. So I feel your pain on that one. It would be nice if it was all just, you know, standardized terms, but it's not. Welcome to scrap. So, again, as I figured, this laptop is going to be a real pain in the rear end to scrap out. So, that's cool. Got more dirty aluminum there. Now, there is a mylar under that, but it's not really worth going for. For me, anyways. You know, if you're into silver recovery, anything like that, go for it. It's probably worth your time. Alrighty, now we've got the big fan block here, which is hiding the CPU, or which is hiding the cooler, which is hiding the CPU. If that made any sense. Alright, so let's get the fan air duct here out of the way. Again, I'm going to mix that in with motors, but it probably should just go light iron. It's probably a more fair category. But again, I'm mixing in, you know, I'm mixing it into a huge, huge load of motors. We got a battery. Let's see here. Oh, there's one screw I missed. So this is the heatsink here. So after getting, oh really? So the heatsink goes, you know, from there around, curves around back under this here. So this one's gonna be a real pain to remove. This one's gonna fight me all the way. Which unfortunately, like I said before, most laptops generally do. Laptops are probably one of the most tedious things I've ever scrapped. So again, if this video does nothing for you people, you know, hopefully it, you know, provides some entertainment with me royally messing up, like in the last one there. And, yeah, maybe it just shows you that laptops are better off left to the big guys, the big boys. You know, it may not be worth your time to scrap them. And generally, if I had any, you know, anything better to scrap right now, I would be scrapping it, because this is a huge waste of time, honestly. The screen here, which I generally just sell as light iron. Now, not all scrapyards will allow you to sell those. I believe, you know, there are other channels of recycling them, because in certain ones there are some potentially dangerous chemicals. I believe like a mercury gas inside certain ones. It's a nice little copper pipe here. It's part of this copper aluminum radiator system. Now what you could do, if you really wanted, is cut out, you know, as much of this pipe as, you know, as you can. Cut out, rip out, you know, whatever. So, oh, okay, so those are Torx bits. Fun. See, I don't want to bore you guys too much with scrapping out these laptops because, I mean, they can be... Okay, so it is actually turning. They can be pretty dull. Alright, come on, how much... What's still holding? One of these screws, or two of these screws are still holding. So yeah, laptops, dang it, can be really dull. Okay, so we, nice, all that work and all we have is an onboard CPU. So a little bit of cast aluminum. So the CPU that we have on this board here, on this motherboard, is an onboard CPU, I believe. Oh, nope, this is different. My bad. This is interesting. So this one's like a CPU card. I don't know if I've ever seen one of these before. You know what? Come to think of it, maybe I have. This is fairly new for me. This is interesting. Well, welcome to watching the New England Scrapper get educated while scrapping. But again, you know, it's part of the coolness of the whole deal. Is, you know, I get to learn new stuff all the time. So this is really, I'm not actually sure what I'm going to grade this as. It doesn't have any sort of gold fingers, so I'm going to grade this as a motherboard, believe it or not. Because it's got about the same ratio of chips to junk as like a laptop motherboard would. So, yeah, I'm going to grade that as a laptop motherboard. Just because the BGA chip that we have on there, really isn't the best. So, yeah, it's just a steel bracket. So that's how I'm going to grade that one. Now this is really interesting. This is a huge copper. Never mind. I don't know what that might have been a graphics card actually, because I pulled up this this copper aluminum heatsink. And check out what's underneath. We actually have a CPU, so I was wrong. So we have a, doesn't say on it. If it does, I can't read it. So we actually have a pinned copper top CPU. So that's a real bonus. I wasn't expecting that. That's interesting. And then we have a large copper aluminum radiator. And if you really wanted to go and rip out that copper, you could, but for me, it's not worth the time. So I'll just sell it to my yard as a copper aluminum radiator. Now, we do have some more. We do have the motherboard in here. And it feels good when you're almost all the way through a tough laptop. You've been able to scrap almost the entire thing. That's a real... What do we got here? What's the problem? That's a really good feeling. Alright, so I think I might just finish this one off camera. Because these screws are having a problem with my screwdriver, apparently. It doesn't want to... No, maybe not. Maybe it's working fine. It didn't want to unscrew one of them, which was very interesting. There we go. Cool. So there's actually a lot of copper aluminum radiator in this. More than I had expected. Now I'm actually not sure how they separate the copper and aluminum from that. Whether they run it through a chemical process like they would on a circuit board, or if they do some sort of real interesting shredding technique. Like a shredding and separation, or whether they do like a heat separation, like throw it all in one pot, melt it down, and then separate it that way. I really don't know. We've got this CD Rom Drive, which I'm not even going to take out. I'm going to try to get the motherboard out of here. This whole thing, if you look at it, it's actually cast aluminum. So, I will sell it as such. I will sell it as cast. So we've got another VGA chip there, which could also be mistaken for the CPU if you don't really know what you're looking for, or even someone experienced like me. I mean, I've scrapped out lots of laptops, not necessarily hundreds or thousands, but I've scrapped out a lot, and I don't think I've ever seen that before. So that was a new one for me. It fooled me. So this thing might get a prize for that. Now I may have to take out this this whole deal here because it might be on. I think it's going to be in the way of some screws. Try and get this motherboard out. See how listen, instead of like a mini scrap marathon, I may just have to. I should call it frustrating scraps. that would be kind of funny, actually. Frustrating scraps. Scrap outs that frustrate me. Oops. Yep. Not in the Bear Bright bucket. Yeah, alright. I may not finish this on video because this must be excruciating for anyone watching at this point. Oh man. So yeah, if you guys learned anything, one of the things you may learn is oh, that was easy. Irony is don't pick up laptops if you can help it. It might just save your brains. Again, I've got a business to run, so it's not like I have a choice. And again, anything that might be, sellable. So this is actually mid-grade underneath this sticker, because there are some chips under there. I'm not going to try to take it off because my gloves aren't going to allow me to. But yeah, so basically you get the motherboard out of this, and that'll be classed as a laptop motherboard. So thank you guys, those of you who stuck through and watched 22 minutes of scrapping one Dell laptop. I really appreciate your support, and I'll see y'all on the next scrap. Bye for now.